Dear Journal, I'm at Washington's Crossing trying to decide if I want to do the local virtual cache or the local adventure lab. Actually, I wanted to properly learn about Washington's Crossing. My Roman Catholic schooling pretty much left me at God infused Washington and our forefathers with the Holy Spirit, and then they created America. I have to admit, this lingering doubt that it somehow didn't go down that way. So what I'll probably try to do is both the virtual and the adventure lab, which is a really clunky name for the activity and makes me feel like a lab rat being led around to various places to get a piece of cheese-flavored dopamine just to see what happens, just like all the other rats in this stupid rat race with no end in sight. I'm sorry. The bulk of information I need to get is here at the Visitor Center, where the Adventure Lab is activated. Beep, boop, beep, beep. I really wish it made noises like that. Somebody look into that for me, please. Any road, back in 1776, Washington and his troops, after retreating from New Jersey, I know the feeling, come over the Delaware somewhere, I don't think here, to regroup. Actually, there's nothing special about those various crossings, I guess. Don't worry about them. The Brits in charge at the time decided that the colonial army was pretty much defeated and no longer posed a threat and didn't bother coming in to wipe them out. Washington regrouped and planned a sneaky assault, which required the transfer of 2,400 poorly fed men and various supplies of war across an icy Delaware River. The clue for the Adventure Lab is the artist for this art here. It's not a spoiler if you can't make out that name in the corner. You can't, can you? It wouldn't matter anyway, because you need to be close to the landmarks to answer the questions. Unless you went through the trouble to learn how to spoof your GPS on your phone, which, now that I look at it, seems really easy to do. Interesting. Very interesting. Journal, I'm at the second stage. Is it a second lab? I don't know. My second easy cache. A little bit closer to the Delaware now. It's quite a bit lovely here. I'm pretty sure this is the dock that they use for the reenactments, which I've seen once a long time ago, and I gotta tell you, I don't know what they're like now, but for an army that's supposedly starving, those guys did not get into their role. I like LARPing, I like any sort of role-playing, and I'm not saying you have to go all Christian Bale mechanic. I'm just saying that if you're going to reenact the crossing of the Delaware of hungry, desperate men, then you can't have George from accounting, who's obviously got problems with obesity, trying to pack himself into one of those outfits. I'm sorry. Speaking of packing things in, good God, there's a lot to learn here. 10 crucial days. Yes, 10 crucial days. But as I read the lab info, I see that the only day that is important for this location is the first one, the one with the crossing. So screw you, other 9 days. While I'm here, I should get some info for the virtual, but that shouldn't make me look weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I probably look incredibly stupid, so I'm really sorry about that. Just your neighborhood railing inspector. The park has a road that leads through the historic bits, and the Adventure Lab takes us to the boathouse, which is closed, although we also have an old house, a blacksmith shop, but for some reason, I'm counting railing poles for a virtual, and the CO for the Adventure Lab has me answering the imposing historical question, how many vents does the boathouse have? Alright, so we're not actually learning about anything other than how many vents the boathouse had, or has. There's a nice little informative sign over there. I'll get some information. But first, these historic vents. Spoiler ahead. Vent spoilers. I get that it was a bit of a challenge getting horses and artillery across in the dead of night in most unfavorable weather conditions, but they weren't taking elephants up a mountain. They took wide-bottom boats with local skilled boatmen across a river 300 meters long. I'm not a bitter Adventure Lab rat, but when I go up a stepladder, I don't make a big deal about the first rung. This part of the lab uses the building called McConkey's Ferry Inn. I just wanted to say that out loud. McConkey. So I don't know how much voiceover that's going to get, because it's an inn. Now they want me to go across, just like Washington. He thinks he had it rough crossing the Delaware on the ice. I almost lost a friggin' side view mirror trying to cross this very narrow bridge, which I believe I already have footage for. Almost lost the side view mirror. You don't see me doing reenactments. In case you were wondering, Journal, they did it. They crossed. I'm sure the remaining 9 crucial days are very exciting and, well, crucial to the overall story of the Revolutionary War and the birth of our nation, but it's not like the river went on the campaign. I mean, much like the person my teachers worship, it was just there to be crossed. So for us geocachers following geocaching-related things, the historical significance ends here, at this house, which has nothing to do with, nor was it in existence at, the time of Washington, but does have this carefree girl running down strangely, all tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. Weird. Standing on this recreation of another type of boat used to cross the river, I finish up the Adventure Lab for a total of 5 shiny finds for the price of 1. Okay. Oh, there I am. All right. I better get me caches from this. 4 stars. 4, not 5, because 1, I feel that much like all the favorite points the virtuals that Disney gets, it's not like the CO invented a historical landmark here. It's easy to go, yay, America, George Washington, boom, 5 stars. 2, for having a cannon on hand at the visitor center, why not bring up how important they were to winning at Trenton after Christmas? Or, I don't know, make me find some information that isn't vents on a building. I mean, if we were at the historic birthplace of the vent, then sure. But you get what I'm saying. Vents, who gives a shit about vents? Here's a little something Skimbosh found for you, Journal. A little bit of history you won't see in some lab or virtual cache. The Continental Lane, the actual road over which Washington's army began its march to Trenton. Also, why didn't your Adventure Lab virtual and multicache include whatever that is? What is that? Ah, it's the Johnson Ferry House. Kitchen garden? Which one is it? Well, I really want to go in the garden. However, I am thwarted by their defense system here. Defense. Jokes as old as Washington himself. So, obviously, history's not my thing. This river crossing just doesn't get me wet, know what I'm saying? But I did learn something, and that is, under no circumstances should you decide to just let your enemy skulk off across the river like Washington was allowed to before Christmas. You silly redcoats. Leave no survivors. Treat them all like lab rats. Crush them all. Be brutal, or expect a bloody uprising. Kill or be killed. And have a good time geocaching.